Sound check. I see we're waiting for your colleagues. I'm going to wait a minute or so, and then you start. So the audio is fine. You can hear me and see me, Benjamin.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Let's give a minute and then we continue.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening. Is it Gayatri?
Good evening. Yes, that's Gayatri.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We'll start in a minute. I'm just going to give a minute or so, and then we'll jump right in.
Sure, thank you.
Okay. All right. Can you guys see my opening screen there? The welcome screen.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. So, good evening, folks. Welcome. My name is Ruan, Dr. Ruan van den Berg. I'll be taking you through the entrepreneurship module. I'm very excited to be involved and to um, facilitate this journey with you guys. I'm going to give you a minute just now to share with me your something about yourself. I see my internet is a bit funny. It's a bit lagging. Let me just see if we can fix that. Um, so this is a slide that I always put up at the beginning of the year. And then I ask students, so what's the purpose of this slide? Would any of you guess? Gayatri, why do you think I put this slide up? Um,
I'm not,
it- yeah,
I'm not
you can't
sure
read his handwriting,
exactly.
eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is not going to apply to you guys, I think in most cases, in the online space, unless you take the campus exams. For the most part, you will be doing online and invigilated exams. So if you do come across, good evening, Alethea. If you do come across situations where you write down stuff with a pen and paper, please make sure that the person reading that can read it. My students always hi Alethea. My students always ask me, listen, I always say, listen, if I mark your work at 2 o'clock on a Sunday morning and I can't read it, I'm just going to give you 0. So a student asked me one time, sir, do you ever mark at 2 o'clock on a Sunday morning? I said, oh, actually, I don't. So yeah, that's also interesting. Entrepreneurship. It's an elective, I believe, for the PG DIP module. It's interesting. I'm going to ask you, and we're going to have a good time. Hour-long sessions for the next, I think, 15 or 16 weeks. There's a lot of work to be done. I'm going to run through a couple of things this evening. What I want to do, and I want to start with this, just to we're going to get to know each other very well. And I'm going to tell you this evening what my expectation is and what I expect from you guys and what my role is. I'm going to start now. I want you to look at the slide in front of you and just give me a brief introduction of yourself. We're going to be working for the next couple of months. Your name, your work. Are you working or are you a full-time student? Where did you do your undergrad? Because you guys are busy now with an NQF level 8, equivalent to honors qualification. Where did you do undergrad? What was your undergrad? Tell me what's your home language. At this point, are you thinking of further study? You know that your PG DIP can take you horizontally to an honors. It can also take you vertically into a master's. It gives you a platform. And then quickly share with me what's your passion or your career dream, as it were. Who's going to start? Gayatri, you've said a couple of things. Can we start with you? Briefly tell us about those things on the slide. About yourself.
Okay, I'm Gayatri. I work as an accountant in a company called Continental Paper and Packaging.
Yep.
So I'm doing this course as a part-time, and I'm from India. I did my undergrad Bachelor of Commerce in India.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So my home language is English, and further study, I'm not so sure about it. And my passion, I want to manage my own business someday.
Own business. All right. So there's
Yes.
definitely an interest there in running your own venture.
Yes.
That's interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right. Alethea, if you can turn on your mic, you can tell us quickly your name and all those things there. Share the info on the slide, please.
Okay. Yes. Hi. Evening, everyone.
Hi.
That's correct. My name is Alethea. I am a part-time student. I did my undergrad, or basically my BCom. I just finished my BCom degree with Varsity College last year. So obviously doing my PG DIP now. My background, I studied previously post-matric, public relations management, and media management and marketing. So that has been my background over the last couple of years, up until 4 years ago, which I just decided to, study. And because I have always wanted to go into business, now that I've got the business acumen, my kind of next move would be likely to venture into my own type of thing. So I'm still thinking what path I want to take, but it'd definitely be to venture into something else on my own. Yeah.
I like it. It sounds very interesting. And what sort of business are you interested in? Or you sound like a people person.
Yes, it really have to be in public relations. Well,
Sure.
it's a bit of a conundrum because like with my background in PR, I worked in various sectors, so across the board, different industries, and that I found quite, what for me what was my sort of point of difference is because of the versatility that my profession brought me into. And now the business acumen, it's really trying to find what my next path would be. So yeah, I do like business a lot. I do like numbers. So I'm a bit analytical, but also creative. So hopefully, as this year passes, it will, become clearer to me what I'd like to venture into at the end of the year.
Sure. Very interesting. I like that. Thank you. Benjamin.
Sorry, I just have one. I just have one more question.
Yes. Yes.
If you don't mind. I just wanted. Obviously, you mentioned one can study further, like masters and all of that. I just wanted to know, just your opinion. A PG dip compared to honors, would you say it's kind of on the same level, or what is the distinctive difference? There's always
it
like sort of
is-
debates among people about the two.
Yeah, it is exactly on the same NQF level. So you can walk into a master's with a PG dip, theoretically speaking. They sit at exactly the same NQF 8, and then a master's is a 9 and a PhD is a 10. I think it might be beneficial to go for good marks academically and so on, but yes, it's definitely possible. So we also run, of course, the honors program, which you must be aware of. They also, in the honors space, there's 4 core modules. They don't have electives, and then the research component. Your research component is more or less the same. It's a bit more, what's the right word? The outcomes are the same. It's not so heavyweight as heavyweight. It doesn't do exactly the heavy lifting that they do in honors. But essentially, you are exposed and introduced to the same concepts. There's your research report, there's your full research project with data collection and all of that. And you guys will be tackling that in semester 2, I believe, with Remy. I might also supervise some of you, and I might also give you guys the research module. I want to ask you, Alethea, are you guys, as far as I remember, there were 3 PG dips. There's one in corporate governance, one in digital, and one in management. Am I correct? Are you
Yes,
guys
correct.
enrolled in one of those?
I'm doing the management one.
Management one. And you, Gayatri?
I'm also in management.
Management. Yeah,
Yes.
so there's the 3, and I think corporate governance is the one that I lectured last year and so on. But yeah, no. So NQF wise, you can. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Benjamin, let's hear from you.
My degree, my undergrad, I get it through UNISA. My home language is Ndebele. Yes, I would like to further my studies up to doctorate if possible.
Yeah.
But my passion, when I'm done with this, is to start my own business. I want to focus on car. I have passion with cars, and I've realized the niche. There are a few cars that I've realized they're problematic in many people, but when you check, you find that most of the things is just electronics. It's not the effect, the engine, like other people will say. It's just minor components of electronic. So if I can start that one, it will push me to my real passion, which is farming.
All right. So you've got a
Yeah, it's not easy to start farming. You will need a lot of money, a lot of
Sure.
passion and time.
Sure.
But with this one, it will assist, because starting a car, it's easy. There are those who are selling it very cheap because they're just throwing it away. So I will take those advantage to be positive on my side. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. So all 3 of you, I see at this point there's 6 students registered for the cohort. It's a small cohort. We're going to be engaging a lot and so on. So that's very nice. I enjoy working with smaller cohorts. Guys, I want you to take a very be diligent in looking at announcements. I sent an announcement reminding you of this evening. I know there's always some teething problems at the beginning of the year. There's some registration delays and so on. So hopefully we can get a full class up and running from next week, which means there will be 7 of us in this room altogether. I will be using the announcements a lot to prep you guys, or to tell you this is what we're going to do in class. Please look at this, read that. This is the case study and so on. Folks, the biggest thing that I want to share with you this evening is that we spoke about who are you and why are you here. I appreciate the fact that you want to educate yourself and walk the parallel between education and running your own ventures. I must tell you what you opted for. Tabile, good evening.
Good
Hi,
evening,
Tabile.
sir.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Tabile, welcome. I'm gonna go one slide back. We just did a quick introduction here of your peers. I'm going to give you a chance because we've literally just moved on to the slide. Tabile, you will see on the slide there. I'm just asking all of you to introduce yourself quickly by telling us who you are. Are you working or are you a full-time student? Tell us about your undergrad. What did you do? Where did you do it? What's your home language? Are you considering furthering your study after this? And tell me something about your passion, your career dream, and so on. Tabile, you're welcome to share with us quickly. Tabile, are you good? Is your audio? I can't hear you. I did hear you initially. You are unmuted. Just try again if we can get you to get the audio working. Tabile, I'm sorry, I can't we can't hear you. I don't know if you guys can hear Tabile. I can see that you. Yeah, now it's better. Speak up a bit.
I'm saying I'm having network issues, so
Okay, now you're coming through clearly.
can you hear me?
I can hear you well. Yes, you can go ahead.
Yes, I'm saying please pardon me. I'm having serious network issues.
Sure. Okay.
Generally, my name is Tabile, and no, I am not a full-time student. I am part-time.
Yes.
I did BA, majoring in psychology and communications. Then I went on to study PGCE. Then now I'm pursuing this postgraduate diploma in management. And then, yes, I'm a full-time student and my home language is Sesotho.
All right. And your passion, career dreams, what do you want to do with your career?
Well, I am more passionate about the education field. So
Education.
with this qualification, I'm hoping to be part of the higher organization within the Department of Basic Education.
Okay. All right. So there's something working in education that you regard as a calling. Okay. Thank you very much, students. Now, the biggest thing I want you to really understand, all of you, is that it's a massive jump from undergrad to postgrad. Tabile, thank you. You can mute your mic. It's a massive jump from undergrad to postgrad. And that's the biggest thing that I want you guys to conceptualize right at the start and to get into the mindset of being a postgrad student. So in undergrad, there was a minimal component of application and research. Yes, there was. But once you cross that fence where you go to the postgrad space, it's no longer a matter of you. We're not going to test your memory retention ability. We're not going to ask you, name the 3 steps of this, discuss this for 5 points. It's application. You have to marry theory and practice. That's what we want to do. So as postgrad students, it's not a matter of memorizing knowledge, but it's a matter of producing knowledge. When you guys write your research reports in the second half of the year, you're going to come up with new knowledge. You're going to make a contribution in the academic space and the pragmatic business practice space of new knowledge, something that we didn't know. So you're contributing to that as an academic scholar. And I want you guys to understand that's the way I'm going to see you. That's the way I'm going to interact with you. That's the way I'm going to treat you. I'm going to be very strict with you in terms of my expectation. I enjoy working with postgrad students. I enjoy it a lot. Undergrad is not my favorite. I don't work with undergrad students at all anymore. I work with postgrad students because I enjoy research. Essentially, you are now a scientist. You are a researcher. That's what I want you to look at yourself as a researcher, as a scientist. And that's essentially what this whole journey is about. It's not so much about the content. It's not about, we're not going to spend these evenings going through monotonous PowerPoint slides. You've got a textbook that you can read in an afternoon. We want to make it interesting. We want to make it engaging. We want you to think critically. We want you to do research. We want you to master the elements that constitute postgrad research. And it's a wonderful and exciting space to be in. So welcome. It's a courageous journey also. I do take my hat off to you guys for embarking on this journey. And some of you have got full-time work as well. It is going to be demanding. There's a lot of work. You will probably, if you know what you're in for, you would probably not do it again. But it's going to be extremely fulfilling as well. I want to promise you that. In fact, next year when you're done, you're gonna miss the intellectual stimulation. You're gonna miss the interaction and so on. So enjoy the ride while you are here, and while we are doing something, it is absolutely worthwhile to do it well. So postgrad study in the NQF space where you are, it's going to get increasingly more rigorous when you go to masters and PhD, but where you guys are, it's the basis of postgrad study, and we're going to introduce you to a lot of principles. I want to get you guys research fit in this module with the outlook on your research module that's coming up. So we're gonna talk about that as well. So that you can put forward a successful research project later this year. I expect of you guys to really, this is what I want to tell you guys. I will support you relentlessly. I will give you a lot of ideas to think about. I will introduce you to interesting concepts. I'm gonna put stuff down in class and on the table that's gonna engage your thinking. What excites me is when people perform at a maximum capacity. So I expect of you to do the best you can. I do expect you guys to attend classes. Please attend classes. If you're on time for my class, you are late. Please sign in before we start. Make sure that everything is fine, that your network and your computer and everything is working. Please engage in class. Guys, I want to tell you this. We are not going to sit here and listen to my voice. Collectively, you know a lot more than I do. I'm not going to teach you anything per se. I'm facilitating. I'm going to stimulate. I'm going to keep it interesting and engaging. But I want you guys to contribute. In fact, your contribution is going to make the class interesting for all of us. So no one in this class will ever be put in a vulnerable position. No one will ever be put in an uncomfortable position. No one will be put on the spot. But I invite you, I prevail upon you to come to class, to bring your input. We want to hear what you have to say. You know, often students that have a wonderful contribution to make are often very quiet. And I know online isn't everyone's cup of tea. I myself also more of a people person, so the online space is slightly awkward for me. But it is what it is, and that's where we find ourselves in, and we make the best of this virtual environment. So I'm looking forward to hear what you guys have to say. You know, I'm a bit older. I'm in my early 50s now. And it's wonderful for me to work with people that are younger than me. People, there's something of the way you guys see the world, and there's something of the enthusiasm, the expectation, the promises, looking at the way forward that rubs off on me. So I thoroughly enjoy working with you guys, and I do find it a privilege and an honor to interact with you. But I'm going to be strict. I'm not going to allow you, I will allow you to submit substandard work. So I'm not saying I'm not gonna, but I don't want you. I want you guys to do the best you can. Take the most out of your PG Dip course. Take everything out of it that you can. Harness everything you can out of this experience and out of this journey to better yourself academically. So I want you guys to read a lot of academic reading. Also read about what's going on in the world, what's going on in the country. We're going to bring a lot of those things into the classroom and make it practical. I want to tell you the difference between a PG Dip and I think hardcore academic research per se is that it's very pragmatic. It's rooted. The qualification you guys are doing is rooted in business practice. So we're not sitting in a weird and wonderful academic domain where we are completely out of touch with reality. I've got a lot of academic friends who are like that. But I think you guys, and also being business people, we've got a much more pragmatic, hands-on, productive outlook on life. And that's where the academia and business practice will sort of intercede. What we need in this country, guys, is people that can put forward educated opinions. Educated people that can put forward and can contribute something meaningful and substantial. So yeah, I'm all for education, and especially if education is tailored to make a practical difference in your life and in the country's economy, or the world for that matter. So academic reading, academic writing, we're going to spend a lot of time on that and master the skill of academic writing and so on. I'm here really to support you guys. I want to tell you that in the online space or the distance space, it is possible to sometimes feel that you are lonely, for lack of a better word. You want to feel that you are being looked after. And that's important for me. It's important for me to know that my students understand that I and the whole team here at Emirates are there for you guys. We don't want you to wander off on a lonely sort of path all by yourself and feel lost. I'm going to get people from library services to come and coach us. I will invite maybe another guest speaker or two to work with us. We're going to expose you guys to a lot of interesting stuff. Yes, there's assignment works. There's lots of work that needs to be done, and we'll have a look at that quickly as well now. I'm here to support you. I'm here to facilitate, and I want you to really be open and press on my button when you need to do so. So the deal is, we've only got an hour session. I'm not going to go overtime. I might end off slightly early. I want you guys to really pitch with a good mindset. I want you to come prepared. If there was preparation prior, I will send announcements. We'll talk about a class rep now. I want someone to maybe handle that for us. I don't know if I can ask our PR lady, Alethea, if you are maybe putting up your hand to act as a class rep. Then I can be in contact with you. I don't normally set up WhatsApp groups with my students, so what I do allow is to speak to a student. And Alethea, if you're happy to do that, you can facilitate that role. And then you guys can put up a little group for the module. And then if there's urgent communication or logistics or announcements, thanks Alethea, then we can take it from there, and Alethea can communicate via WhatsApp with you guys and you to me. That always works well in that situation. Then I'm not overwhelmed with you know, student WhatsApps and so on, but I'm happy to do that. Lots of lecturers say they don't communicate at all. They only use the traditional channels and emails and so on, but I am willing to do this. Alethea, I want to ask you if you want to just maybe send me an email at my Emirates address. See if I can copy that for you. And then we'll take it from there. All right, so the deal is, let's all pitch with a good attitude. Let's pitch prepped, and let's do the best that we can do. I'm always saying, if you're looking at distinctions there, by show of hands, who is very interested in academic performance? Who of you say academic performance is important? Yes? Anyone? Alethea says yes. So what about distinctions? All right, guys, you can get a distinction with me. Of course you can. I've had lots of distinctions. Benjamin says yes. In order to get a distinction, so says Gayatri, you have to distinct yourself. So I like my students. I grow fond of them. You will see by the end of the semester, we're going to know each other very well, and some of you till the end of the year. I'm not going to give you a distinction just because I like you. You're going to have to earn your distinction with me. So I'm going to be strict. You're going to work hard. You can get a distinction, but you're going to work hard for that distinction. And if academic performance is important to you and you want to cum laude your qualification, by all means, go for that. But it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you blood, sweat, and tears. You're going to work for days and nights on that, but it's absolutely worthwhile. And if that's important to you, I want to see you succeed and reach that goal. But the deal with distinctions is they are difficult to get, but of course you can. University status for Emirates. That's good news for all of us, guys. Now, the application is in process. The name change was there. For full university status, we are looking at lots of hoops to go through. And here's the thing. Our research output is under the magnifying glass. Universities are absolutely leaning toward producing research. So as part of the postgraduate cohorts, I always say you guys as postgrads are the cream of the crop on campus, right? But can your research output stand up to the scrutiny of the global academic domain? Remember, as a postgrad student, you are a gatekeeper of academia. Yes, when your research report is done by the end of the year, if that's the way the module is still structured, it's going to get published. I think we'll have a certain cut-off percentage, whatever that will be. And then we publish your work in an academic domain for the whole wide world to see. It's a global academic database. So it's amazing to think that you can write a report, you can produce some research, and you can publish that. You can also publish an article. Nothing stops you from publishing an article, an academic article, especially if you guys are interested in studying further. I would do that. I would publish an article or two based on your study and put that in try and put that in an academic journal. So think about the importance of your role as a postgrad in the whole application toward full university status. That's a good thing for all of us, guys. Let's be honest. But research output, I think enough said. The course material and output, yes, there's a textbook. I believe the textbook is available. I'm not sure if it's available online or only in hard copies. Does anyone know? You can tell me in the chat window if you've been able to get a copy of that on a soft copy on the library, or if you're going to buy the hard copy textbook. I know that hard copy textbooks, some of them cost a fortune. Sometimes not that bad, but I know that more and more of the publications is becoming available as soft copies to our students. So in the library, you might be able to get a soft copy and not necessarily buy a hard copy of the textbook. But please let me know what your experience is with that. That said, the textbook is not the start all and end all of this course at all, guys. The textbook, which I say you can literally read in an afternoon or a weekend, is just a small portion. I want you guys to do research, to really think out of the box in terms of your research and incorporating sources and so on. And we'll talk about that a bit more. We'll go through the model outline if we have time and show you how the module is put together. Then academic reading, get into the habit of academic reading. And I'll tell you guys why. There's two good reasons. And this is not also for this module. It's for all your work. It's for all your modules. It's for your research project. The more academic reading you do, and let's be honest, academic reading doesn't make for lekker bedside reading, right? It's not. But academic reading will put you on a trajectory where you learn to absorb the academic vocabulary, which is important. You want to master the academic tone. Academic writing's got a very specific tone, and I'll take you guys through a whole exercise next week or the week after where I equip you on how to write as an academic, because it's a whole different story, hey? But in order to help you to grow that skill and master that skill as an academic writer, because that's what you are now. You are an academic. You are in a good position if you read academic work. And the second reason it's good is because it informs you as a subject matter specialist. If you guys want to do a management research paper or a research report, then the more you read about that sort of thing and other studies and scholarly literature, the more you become an expert. I always call this a subject matter expert. That's the fancy word. You want to become a subject matter specialist or a subject matter expert in your field. And that you do by reading academic literature. That's why you're going to write a massive literature review as part of your research. The literature informs you what's going on this topic, this problem, this theme that I'm looking at. What's the current contemporary scholarly voices all over the world have to say about this? And I want to tell you guys, on that note, be careful. Things are changing very quickly. Let me give an example. Remember COVID 2020? People started working from home. Companies had to do it, right? And we were thrown into that situation. And then you saw the trend where companies said, all right, we're going to pull people out of office. We're going to send them home. They're going to work from home, and we're going to use Zoom. You remember Zoom at that time, hey? Zoom calls and this and that. And what we're seeing now, a couple of years after the pandemic, in studies being published now is that people are turning that trend around to some degree, because there were so many office space standing empty. People were giving up office space. Now, people are working from home. Now, we see a trend in studies where they say, companies say, well, there's a lack of social cohesion. It means that our teams, our work teams, are not adequately bonding. There's a lack of coherence. So people are being called back into the office, and people say, listen, we can't allow you to work at home all the time. You're going to have to come back to office. So things are changing, and are changing quick. Trends are changing. Look how AI has changed the landscape. Look at something like performance appraisals. Some studies will say it's a good thing, others will say it's a bad thing, some will say it's motivating, other studies will say it's demotivating. So there's always a lot of things going on. There's a lot of major trends that changes. There's different schools of thought on all sorts of topics. As a researcher, you have to inform yourself as best you can with what's going on. And being a subject matter expert means that you know what's the global situation in something. So obviously, and we can spend a bit of time on this because I want to guide you guys also in thinking toward your research projects. So we're gonna bring that into the class as well, and you can share your ideas with me. We'll make some time for that on topics that you want to maybe look at. So that you can also prepare and sort of immerse yourself in the subject matter that is related to your research. So academic reading. Then I say there's two legs, guys, and these two legs are crucially important. Can you see this second last from the bottom? The two legs of academia that you need to master at this point is, we've touched on the first one, academic discourse. What does that mean? Academic writing, academic language. You need to master that skill. That's the one leg. The other leg that you're going to stand on to make a success of this journey is academic research. I want you guys to understand the problem here. You can do fantastic research. You can go into academic databases and you can get good sources and you can find wonderful scholarly work. But if you cannot write, you're going to be buggered. You can be a fantastic writer, but if you can't do the underpinning research, again, you're going to be buggered. So these two skills combined is what's going to make you a good academic. Can you write academically? Can you do that? Can you roll like an academic does? And again, we'll spend a lot of time on growing that and equipping you guys to do that. And simultaneously, can you do research? Can you get the right info? Can you get to the bottom of it? There's a problem, and I tell you, go and do some research on this, and you tell me, sir, I can't find anything on this topic. I've looked. You're not looking in the right places, guys. There's so much. There's literally thousands, hundreds and thousands of publications coming out every year. Everything under the sun has been researched. Do you know where to look? Do you know how to look? Do you know how to find your way in the academic database? That's important. So that's the two legs that I'm talking about. Then referencing style, Harvard. Guys, I might show you now quickly that, of course, we're doing the 2026 one. Where the institutional referencing guide adapted for us is what you use. Guys, I cannot overemphasize the importance of that. Yes, you'll find this on the library. I'll show it to you now when we're done here. The Harvard Referencing Style 2026 adapted for this institution. That's the only one you're going to use. You're going to be penalized for referencing. You're going to be penalized severely for serious stuff like plagiarism and AI and all of that. I'll get to that now. But referencing style, that's what you're going to use. You're going to use your institutional guide. And the reason you're going to do that is you're going to mark you guys with a rubric. There's severe penalties of 5 and 10% on the referencing style. If you've been at the IIE and Varsity College previously, you'll know what I mean. If we send your work off to an external to examine your work, like your research report later this year, we send them a copy of our institutional referencing guideline as well, and that's what I will use to assess you. So, guys, don't shoot yourself in the foot, as it were, with referencing style penalties. It's completely unnecessary to lose marks on referencing. Referencing is, I will tell you that, to many of us in the academic world, one of the places where I look for, and I know a lot of my peers does the same thing. When I look at an academic public submission, you submit something. I look at your cover page, I look at your table of contents. That's the first thing I look at. And then I go back to your references, your reference list, and I quickly see, I get an idea. If I see sloppiness there, it sort of puts a question mark for me over the rest of your work. If I see sloppiness in your reference list, it tells me this student, I'm not really expecting good work in the submission. Guys, it's important. If I see a reference list that is faultless, it puts me in a good frame of mind. It puts me in a good space. And I'm looking forward and I'm eager to read your stuff and to award marks, because I see a student that's meticulous. I see a student that's diligent. I see a student that looks at the nitty-gritty and so on. So referencing style, very serious. You're going to maybe lose marks once or twice, and then you're going to say, oh my goodness, it's really true. You guys look at everything, every full stop, every bracket, every space, every italic, everything, and you are pedantic about it, and you penalize us when we make those errors. Yes, we do. Guys, so don't throw away marks. Similarities, yes, Turnitin. We are running Turnitin. So similarities, of course, that's there. And similarity scores, guys, I want your similarity scores to sit in the low teens, even single digits if you can. I'm not happy with similarity scores running in the 20s and the 30s. I'm not happy with that sort of thing. Yes, we go into your similarity reports, and obviously we can see what's going on there. But those are there for a reason, so we use that. And then, of course, AI. Let me tell you quickly, and it's an ongoing discussion, what my take on AI is. Now, AI is amazing, and I'm sure you can all tell me some of the amazing things that you've seen AI do. Here's the thing. Last year, guys, I want to tell you that the AI contravention index on Turnitin. Sorry, just a sip of water. We flag those. The system flags your submission if it's AI contravention. It goes to an adjudicator. The adjudicator does a full investigation, comes back with an outcome. Here's the dirty hard truth. Last year, I had many students, and if I say many, numerous, lots, that came back after the investigation / adjudication with submissions being capped at 50. There was lots of them capped at 50, and there was a number of submissions that came back from adjudication with a round 0 for inappropriate AI use. That's the story. So AI is your friend, but AI is also not your friend. I want you guys to really hear what I'm saying. When AI is applied in a generative way, it's gonna bite you. Where we are now at this point as hardcore academics, I don't know how the world's gonna change. We know AI is here. We know AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Again, the trends that I'm speaking about that sort of I watch when, you know, in terms of studies. So again, we are seeing the same thing where you know, the initial hype of AI and AI is the next best thing since sliced bread is there. But there's also studies being published now already where companies say, listen, AI is not necessarily all it's made out to be. There's a lot of companies, and maybe Alethea, you could give us your take on this at some point in the semester. Is businesses are falling back to say, well, because we are social beings, there's a place for relationship, there's a place for communication, there's a place for empathy, there's a place for connectedness. So AI cannot necessarily do everything that people expect it to do. And AI, it's almost as if the pendulum for AI is swinging to the far left or the far right, associated with a lot of hype. And I think in due course, and maybe quicker than we see, AI will come back and sort of normalize in the center where it does what it does, but it's not necessarily taking over the world. I ask my students this question, and I want you to give me your answer in the chat. You get into an aeroplane, you're flying to Cape Town or to India, Gayatri, and there's a voice from the cockpit that says there's not a pilot on this plane. It's an unmanned cockpit. The computer will fly this plane to India or Cape Town. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna get off the plane, or are you gonna sit and say, "Oh yes, wow, I want Windows or Android or AI to fly me"? Tell me what you will do. Tell me in the chat. Benjamin, yes, you will go with a computer. You don't want the pilot. What about the rest of you, ladies? Indeed, it's swinging back where people will want to connect more for such a long time. Gayatri saying to India, no, you rather want a pilot on the on the cockpit, eh? What about you, Tapile? Yeah, so AI is here, guys. Listen, AI can really hurt you. I'm not talking about plagiarism. I'll coach you and I'll teach you about plagiarism when I do my academic writing course for you next week or the week after. But AI can absolutely put you in harm's way. It can be to your detriment. So, guys, please don't play around with AI. I would lean towards saying, if you want to use AI to order your thinking and to help you to structure or create ideas up here, that could work. But there's no way of circumventing the hard work of sitting and working and making magic with your keyboard and doing the research and doing the writing and all of that in the old traditional way. That's where we still are. I don't know how the world is going to change. Maybe things change in a way that all of us are absolutely flabbergasted and say, oh, my goodness, the world has changed. But at this point, that's not where academia is going. Academia is not saying let's have AI take over. And I must tell you, There's a lot of fraudulent work in academia, but it is absolutely being hammered, guys. There's a lot of fraudulent publications. There's a lot of fraudulent academic journal papers being generated by AI, but it's not tolerated. In other words, it hasn't come into the mainstream and accepted to say, well, that's fine. Academia, as we are today, is still about you as a human being, your brain and your hands on a keyboard or whatever, doing the heavy lifting, not AI. AI is a tool, can help you. If you can stay away from AI completely, some lecturers would encourage AI. I say it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope, guys. What happens if you have a score that not necessarily flags a high AI percentage, and I don't send you for adjudication, but I can see this is not your own work? Or I can see a paragraph that you wrote by actually banning AI. That's interesting, Ben. I see a paragraph that you wrote, and then I see a paragraph in your submission that's completely sounding completely different. This is not your work. And then I see and I hear your voice again, and then I see a paragraph or a page, and I feel, well, this is not you. Can you hear what I'm saying? So regardless of Turnitin will pick it up or not, I'm going to penalize you with the rubric. We mark with rubrics. And I'm going to tell you, this is not your own word. This looks like a copy and paste story to me. This looks like an AI story to me because I can see it's not you. This is not your own work. You're going to have to sit. You're going to sit days and nights at your desk getting through this monstrous undertaking that you've signed up for. But that's the way to do it. And next year, when you walk across the stage, and I might be sitting there clapping for you if there's a grad ceremony, then it's going to make sense. Then it's going to become all worthwhile. And then you're going to say, I did something worthwhile and I did it the right way. And it's going to come together. So make peace with the pain. There's a lot of pain and blood and sweat and tears and all of that, like I said. But that's the way to do it at this point. It's not about jippoing. It's not about trying to get AI to do something and then trying to see how you can trick the AI detectors and all of that. Don't do that. Just leave it. Again, another reason I like working with postgrads is you guys are a bit more mature. You know what life, you've been around the block a couple of times, and you've seen the world. And I enjoy working with those people. It's all about acting responsibly. And especially as a postgrad, there's an onus and there's a responsibility on you to act as I said earlier, this term, an independent intellectual. That's what you are. You're an independent intellectual, and you are an academic gatekeeper. Our time is up. That's what I wanted to share this evening. I wanted to set the stage. It was nice to meet you guys. Please keep a very close eye on announcements. Alethea, I want you to really, you're going to find my email address. You're definitely going to find my email address. Let me see if I can quickly copy it here. Copy. Yep, there it is. Send me email so that we can connect on WhatsApp. Guys, please set up your class WhatsApp group. And then you take it from there. I'll tell you quickly what you're asking me. And I'm sharing the module outline, as you can see. Guys, we'll go through this again next week. There's a lot here. Look at all that reading. There's the textbook. Please go to the portal, download this. It's Niva Nason and Niman. Entrepreneurship is there. And there's a lot of recommended reading. The way the model is constructed is like this. There is an individual. There's 10% ICE. We'll speak about ICE, guys. ICE is 10%. So I want everyone to get 10 marks for ICE, 10% for ICE. I don't want to penalize anyone with ICE, but you're going to work for your 10%. And remember, your 10% can take you from a 60 to a 70 or a 50 to a 60. So please don't lose out on ice. I'll communicate clearly. I'll tell you, we'll do stuff in class. I'll tell you how to earn your ice marks. You will have an opportunity to earn the ice. Then there's 25% is your first assignment. It's individual. Then there's a group assignment, guys. We'll probably have 2 groups. There's 6 students registered at the moment, so we'll probably throw you into 2 groups of 3 students. So there's a group assignment, and then there's the individual summative. To answer your question, Alethea, that is the exam. Carries the bulk of the module mark weighting, 35%, and that will be a sit-down invigilated exam if I must tell you guys what happened last year. Invigilated exam means you're going to sit and write your exam with a camera on you where people are watching you. Does that answer your question? That's the module breakup. There's ICE, 1 individual, 1 group, and then your summative. And that's a lot of work. Please download the stuff from the module portal, download pairs, download stuff that you need to download, get all the material, get the textbooks. We're going to jump into stuff. I will communicate with you guys prior to our next session a week from now. We're carrying on. There's no breaks every week at this slot on a Wednesday. And guys, I'm looking forward. Enjoy, work hard, take care, and we speak next week. Alethea, I'm waiting for your email to set up our little WhatsApp. And guys, get your group formed and we'll be in touch. Take care. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.